Hello YouTube, Lost Planeswalker here, and today's video is a little bit different. We're not going to be showcasing any cards or Planeswalkers at this moment in time, even though I've got more ideas in this brain of mine than I can actually have time to record. So instead, what we're going to be discussing today is Puzzle Quest in 2024. Is it worth still to play this game, or to even jump into this game for the first time? Now that is a very tricky question to answer, and I'll do my best to, well, give you as much positives and negatives towards the game so you can make your own opinion. Now, Magic the Gathering has been going for years. I think early 80s, late 90s, something along those lines. And it's been a very much tabletop experience. Now, there has been some, like Magic the Gathering Online, which is a more in-detailed version of Paper Online. There's Arena, which is a more simplified version of Paper, but it's actually one of the most popular places to play Magic at the moment. We've had some failed projects, like Spellslingers, which was their combination of Hearthstone, which is a Blizzard product, meets Magic the Gathering. We had the failed MMO, which I tested, and it wasn't too bad. Magic Legends, which was like a MMO card-based Magic the Gathering game. And really at this moment in time, the only Magic games that are surviving is Arena, Magic the Gathering Online, and Puzzle Quest. Now, Puzzle Quest originally started its life in 2015, and we're now in 2024. So that's a good 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years it's been going. And in that 9 years, the collection of cards has grown to over 8,025 cards. Now, I've been playing in 2020, so I joined 5 years late. And in the 5 years, I've managed to accumulate 5,600 cards. And now what's really interesting about Puzzle Quest, and one of the biggest pros, is all the sets currently in the game are based off real Magic the Gathering sets. We have an Origin set, which is similar to the Origins of Arena. So Arena has its own Origin sets. And this kind of set never rotates out, which we'll get into that soon. And there's a lot of really good cards here, different rarities. Now, these are more like what you get when you first start the game. But because they're never out of standard, sorry, I didn't realize some of these cards were part of Origins. It's been a long time since I've scrolled through Origins. Sorry about that. I thought this card was something else, but no. So all of these can still be used in the game now, and some of them are still quite powerful, like Demolisher. Well, Demolish, really good support removal, and because it's forever in standard, it will never leave. Reclaim, really good just to sack one of your own creatures. And then, as time's gone on, we've got some legacy sets. I don't know the name of these legacy sets. I think like I can't remember. We'll look at the names in a minute. But we've got some legacy sets like this one. This one was most recent, and then we've got 1, 2, a ton of sets. I joined here when Theros and Eldraine was kind of the biggest set to start with. So this is where my collection began, and since then it's grown to the weird Dungeons & Dragons set, all the way up to the brand new Murders of Karlov Manor. And soon we'll be getting another update where it's Outlaws of Thunder Junction, Main Loop, Ghostmaster, and Nalthazar. They've all released some spoilers for the games, thanks to Webcore, and they look amazing. Now, so the pro is Webcore, who are the current developers. We've had Octagon, who they've took over from. Both those developers did really well to... I'm going to go to Dungeons & Dragons to showcase this. Did really well to make sure that the cards they put in this game really capture the flavour of Magic. Like from the art style, like Old Gnawbone, you have alternative arts, which just look stunning. One of my favourite arts in this set is the Dungeons & Dragons effect on Minsc and Boo. And what's really cool is, and it's kind of a pro and a con, but hear me out, They try the hardest to mimic magic with mechanics. So, combat, you drain mana from your hand if you do target creature against X plus X. That may not be one-to-one magic. And this is where a lot of new players coming into the game need to realize that Magic Puzzle Quest is designed to be like a simple entry point that's you can pick up and play on the go. You're not playing 20 minutes to half an hour matches with insane decks that are 60 cards long or stuff like that. You're just playing something quick and easy. So a lot of mechanics in these games are not one-to-one. The biggest one we have, I'll try and find it. Investigate, disable, unblockable, no. Disguise, no, here we go. Collect evidence. Now, in paper, collect evidence is a mechanic where you exile X amount of cards with X base mana. X is basically any numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4 and onwards, and then you collect evidence. Whereas this game, evidence is collected by destroying simple tokens, which are treasure, gold, blood, map, clue, and food. Now that seems redundant. You know, you're taking a paper magic mechanic and you're ruining it, essentially. You're just making it your own. However, one of the pros of this game, and it's kind of also a difficulty for some newer players to understand, is you can't just make decks off your own back. You can't just make red, white, and blue, or green, red, black. You have to have a planeswalker that makes some colours. So a lot of times with mechanics, you've got to realise that some mechanics like collect evidence would work better in these type of decks with planeswalkers, which are black and blue because they have more access to dump to graveyard effects. So they have to simplify mechanics to make sure they work with a whole range of planeswalkers. And that's the other big positive of the game is you can collect as many cards as you want and make as many decks as you can feel free to, but they have to work with planeswalkers. And now the planeswalkers in this game are based off what paper would call, well, what we call vanguards in this game, but in paper they're just planeswalkers. So they have an uptick ability, a medium ability, and then a down ability. Each planeswalker, for example, Lord Windgrace, they each have their own colour system. So with Lord Windgrace, you can build a deck featuring cards with black, green, red. They have their own abilities, each with a loyalty ability, mana gains, and health. And that's kind of the meat and bones of this deck. And this is what makes Puzzle Quest really interesting compared to paper. If you sit there and you think, I want to make this really cool deck based on dragons, so we're going to go with Koth Fire Resistance. It's mono red, so you can only use red cards. My Rise of the Dragons deck features Tiamat, which will fetch dragons. Whereas Utrav Hellkite makes tokens, which leader in this game, I don't think leader's in paper, but leader basically means this card will reinforce, because in paper where you cast like two types of cards, they go next to each other, they don't reinforce, whereas Puzzle Quest is limited to 3 creatures on the board, X amount, as many supporters as your decks will allow, an X amount of spells that you want. So sometimes to get around that, you've got to reinforce. So this dragon deck makes tokens, and you may then think, I really like Tiamat, but I want to maybe throw in a deck like, where's he gone? Where's Garruk's Huntsman, and add in a few green dragons. And what's really interesting is that deck in paper may just work the same no matter what you change. But in Puzzle Quest, you have the added ability of Planeswalkers. So in this deck, you've now got the option to destroy an opponent and gain some health and draw some cards. So you draw into the card you need. You have this third that makes a token that allows you to gain a 4+4+4 permanent buff to non-human creatures. So your dragons are getting bigger. Or you could say, well, you know what, I'm going to go blue like Hasmina and copy some spells that may reinforce my dragons, draw cards and increase your creatures get an X+, so again, a huge buff as well, or fetch creatures with the first. And that's a limitation that Paper Magic doesn't have. Paper Magic's, your deck is based on how you build it. So if you want to fetch a creature, you have to make sure you have a fetch, or a draw, or a kill spell. Whereas Planeswalkers have a lot of utility in this game. And this is why if you are a new player and you want to jump into Magic in 2024, Puzzle Quest is one of the best entry points to learn the game, because you learn how different Planeswalkers can affect a game. So there is a Planeswalker called Teferi's Hero of Dominaria in paper, which has the same effect. You create an emblem with, when you draw a card in paper, your opponent exiles a permanent they control. It's a very similar ability here. They exile a creature, support. If they can't, increase the cost in the card's hand. Similar ability to paper, so you get a feel of this Planeswalker in a deck. And then you can make, because it's white and blue, you can add whatever creatures you want. There is some limitations per Planeswalker, so let me just edit this deck quickly. So in this Planeswalker, you can only have 6 supports, 7 spells, and 6 creatures. You won't always use that amount, but some have lower spell counts, lower support counts, or lower creature counts. And that gives you a little bit more flexibility to test ideas and experiment. And if you play paper, a lot of experimentation in decks is great. It's kind of what the big selling point is. But there's more loss than there is a reward. Whereas Puzzle Quest's plethora of events really kind of pushes you to experiment, to try. And there's no harm in losing, because there's no like seasonal rank system, which I hope they never add. Instead, you get ranked based on an event. So, what event's ending right now? Flip, flip, flip. So, for example, in Training Ground, you just need to play 4 matches and you get 10 gems, which we'll go on to the monetization in a minute. And that's it. You could lose 20 matches, but it doesn't affect you. As soon as you win 4, you're still getting the reward. So there's no harm in losing. There's no penalty to losing. And sometimes it's good to lose. But then you get other events like Seize the Day, where there is a leaderboard system where if you get to the top rank, you get more rewards as you climb the rank. Now, that kind of segues onto one of the biggest negatives that Puzzle Quest has at the moment. Ranking system needs to change as soon as possible. And the problem with that is, in the leaderboard system, you need, I think Seize the Day is 140 points. If you get 140 points, you are first. Congratulations. But with the game based on brackets, which is essentially how many people are in that leaderboard segment at one time, I think it's like 300 people per bracket. So your leaderboard's always like 300 people. If you lose one match to a bug, bad RNG, which is random generation for like draw, casting, and getting the creatures you need, you could end up all the way at like rank 1000 because of how many people may be better at the game at that one time. And there has been a lot of times where I've lost 2 points because I didn't cast an objective. So this game does have objective point system. So usually a win is 5 points, the middle objective is 3 points, and the bottom objective is 2 points. Certain events have different scales, but that's the generic time. So I've done it where I've missed 2 points, and I've ended all the way at like rank 500. And it kind of does feel a bit annoying that losing 2 points shouldn't drop you to like near enough the bottom of a leaderboard. It's kind of a little personal nitpick. So the second thing that makes this game really good is booster crafting. With the amount of cards in the game, really it is kind of hard to essentially get the cards you need from packs, which we'll look at the monetization last. So it's really good that whenever you get a pack, if you own a card, you get these little crafting orbs, and then you just go into the crafting system. So this is from the Vault set, and you see the different cards, and you can just click craft, and you then craft a random card from that set. It is a little bit annoying with Legacy though, because I played so late, I have about 228 Legacy cards to craft. It's 600 orbs. That's roughly 12,000 odd orbs. And you're kind of chasing every Legacy set. So you're chasing cards from Kalemni to the Eldrazi set. I think it's Shadows over Innistrad. That could be the wrong one. So it's kind of hard to pick the cards you want, so hopefully they will fix that. Standard is more forgiving. They do split all the standard sets up, so you can, if you have like a really nice rare card from the penny you want, you go in, you craft it. Or if you weren't so happy with, let's say, the Phyrexian set, for example, so you don't really want them, you could jump up to, let's say, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, which is your favourite set, just craft away. And the good thing about crafting is sometimes you'll get packs that are non-duplicate, which means they're guaranteed to not give you a card you owned. And if you've crafted a lot of, like I have here, all of the commons and uncommons, which I need to craft one here, so while we're here, let's craft. Once all these are done, then the pool for your guaranteed non-duplicates gets to be more shiny. So if in standard you've got all your commons and commons, then when you get a non-duplicate pack, you've got more of a chance to get a rare or a mythical card or a masterpiece. Ooh, Corruption of Tawashai. When the spell enters the board, create 2 Incubate tokens. They can all count at 4. When an Incubate token you control is destroyed, draw a card, it gains 3 mana. This effect can trigger on return. Not a bad effect. So, insufficient currency. And you can't, now, we'll touch on this more, but you can't buy these kind of gems, the crafting boosters, which is great because it kind of levels the playing field. If you could just spend like £20, £30 on these crafting gems and craft everything in the sets, kind of would make this game a little bit more annoying. Next thing to quickly look at that makes this game a huge pro is story is a great way to find gold. I will mention that, but we're just going to jump into some quick gameplay when it loads. For some reason it doesn't like to load. There we go. So you get heroic. There's a training ground, which they didn't add one for Murders of Karl of Mana, which is irritating. But this training system allows you to learn all the mechanics in the game, so it's very helpful for new players. So as you can see, this game is very much catered towards helping new and experienced players always keep it to date because it's more forgiving. Right, we're just going to go to the very easy matches because you've come to watch my 2024 review, not lose a lot of matches. So when you play paper, the biggest problem you have is you'll always face a human opponent. And a human opponent has little room for error. Humans are very clever with the decks and they do a lot more shenanigans. Whereas with Puzzle Quest, you're always going to be facing an AI. Which, top tip for newer players, the community has named the AI Greg. So if you ever join like a Discord community or a Facebook community and you wonder, who's Greg? Well, the answer is, for some reason, Greg is the AI bot. And every human deck that is made, so your own or a random stranger, their decks are technically stored for the AI to play. So it's kind of a little bit more exciting that you are versing a player deck, but it's run by an AI computer. And that kind of is a little bit more forgiving because, no offense to the computer, it's not the smartest kid in the block or the sharpest tool in the shed, as the saying goes. So it has a little bit more room for error, or it won't do a certain mechanic, or it won't behave itself, which is very useful for any types of players who just, want to sit down and have a bit of fun, because at the end of the day, you're going to be playing this on your lunchtime from work, or if you want to play on the bus before you go somewhere, you quickly jump in. The longest I've had a match, 20 minutes, and the shortest I've had a match, 10 minutes. So these quick, simple matches are over in a flash, get on with your day, and because of how forgiving this game is for losing, you're never going to be a little bit more stressed that you've lost or your ranking's gone down for the season, so you're going to be penalised with your rewards. The game doesn't work like that. It's very much more forgiving. So it's very nice just to have these matches where you can just quickly have some fun and then you're not going to lose. So far there is a lot of pros to the game, and there is a few negatives. For example, negatives is the planeswalkers themselves. Even though the system is very forgiving and you can use any planeswalker you want, it does get annoying that there is more meta-worthy planeswalkers out there, ones that you run into a lot more, ones that are recommended, but you'll also get into some that give birth to very annoying combinations. Or I can't remember his name, so I do apologize. Someone in Discord mentioned one of the planeswalkers, Dungeon Master, is broken, so he can freeze your game. And that's kind of a little downside, that sometimes these planeswalkers do cost a lot of resources, but they might not be worth buying. The biggest problem is every new set, you get new planeswalker per set. A lot of the planeswalkers are either based on new planeswalker cards added to that set, or older ones that have not been put into Puzzle Quest. And sometimes when you get ones added to a set, their mechanical abilities are set locked. And that kind of means that you've spent, let's say, I think it's 295 gems on, let's say, a mono. We're going to use Mordenkainen. And his abilities are very much around rolling a d20. Faithful Hounds, also again, d20, d20. And this set was more stronger with the Baldur's Gate set, well, the D&D set. And now D&D set's not standard. Mordenkainen really has very limited value in standard. So there is that push and pull that a lot of walkers like Rahl, and this is World Walker, all the Bolasses, they're going to be with you for every set that's added to the game. But some walkers like Mordenkainen, a little bit sometimes Kaya, just because each opposing creature gains Suspect. And Suspect is kind of like a Mezcal of Mana mechanic. Jace, the Perfect in Mind, again, a lot of his abilities are around Phyrexian gems, which when Phyrexia leaves, his usefulness may end. And that's just one thing you have to realize, that sometimes these walkers are great while they're in standard, but as soon as standard leaves, the usefulness does drop. So it is kind of a push and pull. Lastly, what we're going to discuss about, and it's kind of the reason why I would say Puzzle Quest is more forgiving, is monetization. Monetization in mobile games is one of the most annoying things ever. It can always make or break a game. Now, monetization in Arena is not my favorite. It's very hard to get some of the gems, and gold is very hard as well in Arena because you've got to do extremely well and win a lot of matches. Whereas Puzzle Quest, gold is handed out a lot. And gold is what you need to buy packs. So some packs cost, newer sets cost a little bit more gold, so 80, 200, 320. Whereas older sets like Adventures in the Forgotten, oh, that's the wrong one, Innistrad, 60, 180, 300. So they're a little bit cheaper. And then you've also got the secondary source pink crystals, which are kind of harder to go by, in my opinion. And they allow you to get little vanguards, which are like 120 pinks. Or if you go right to the bottom, you get elite packs, which give you rare to masterpiece only cards or mythic to masterpiece. And pink crystals are kind of hard to accumulate because not a lot of events give you a lot of them. You get like 5, 2s, 1s. So getting up to 400 does take a lot of patience, which I'm not going to lie, I have no patience. As soon as I get to 120, I'm wasting them. I have no patience. And as I say, when you get a free booster every 3 hours, you get free cards, so let's claim hours. I am hoping for something exciting. Come on, something exciting. What we got? Okay, we got Attendant Solitaire, dupe. It's a dupe set. And as you can see, we get each, so I think it's 10 crafting resources per thing, so 10, 20, I think that's like 100, then it jumps up to 500, but I can't remember what masterpiece is. So you get a lot of them. If you are curious, there's a little bit more transparency in all boosters. So in this set, you're not going to get a masterpiece, but you got a 23% chance, 0.23% chance of rare, 7% chance mythic. Sorry, I forgot how to talk for a second. A rare 7.2, uncommon 38, and then you got a high chance of getting rares. And each set has their own little percentage, so you can work out with your resources. So in these premium packs, which is probably the most recommended, you've got a 100% chance of rares, uncommons, a higher percentage to get mythics, and a higher percentage to get rares. Sorry about that. And then obviously you use your resources for getting yourself some new planeswalkers. And these are rotated every week, so you've always got a chance to get a new walker. More expensive ones are your tricolored walkers. And then eventually you get to what is the most divisive part of any mobile game, the cash shop. Now, however, this is where Puzzle Quest in 2024 kind of outshines a lot of other mobile games. You can earn some of these cards in-game. So I've got Gleaming Geardrake. I didn't buy this pack. There's bundles like this to get you some more decks, some more gems, starter lands. You don't need any of this. And because it's AI generated playing player's deck, I would argue there's no pay to win in this game. A player who has, well, there's also these subscriptions, which I'm not explaining because I don't understand it, but a player could spend hundreds of pounds right here on this deck. Doesn't mean they're going to win, because an AI computer has a higher chance of failure than a human opponent. And the way the crafting and the gold system works, I have managed to get 5,000 odd cards with barely sinking any cash for cards. I buy Planeswalkers. I'm not a free-to-play anymore because I buy Planeswalkers, but I don't buy packs unless I get the resources through playing the game. So in 2024, if you are sitting there and you're like, I want to get into Magic. I want to be a Planeswalker. I'm going to get Arena. I would say no. Take a step back. To go into Arena as your first game can be daunting. There's a lot of mechanics, a lot of text. The deck building is very tricky. You've got to make sure you've got 60 cards, make sure everything works, and you're going to be facing players that have put a ton of money into Arena, and you will lose a lot because a lot of the opponents you've played are going to play, they're probably like rank 1 or anything or higher. And Arena has a lot of events that if you lose, you don't get many resources. So I would always recommend Puzzle Quest. It's free to play. It's a match-free system, which I know puts people off, but it's a simplified version of Magic. You get the Magic flavor in the cards, the texts, the art styles, which I actually do like this art style. They are officially licensed. They have a fair monetization system. You can earn gold crystals, or if you want to get them faster, you can pay. Pinks, however, you have to earn in game, which is kind of a good balance because pinks get you the more rares, mythics, masterpieces. So having to earn them feels more rewarding than just spending hundreds of pounds on pinks and crafting every mythic out there. You get these ruins every time you get packs or do events, and these help you level up your planeswalkers, and then you get crafting. It's a perfect balanced system. So in 2024, this game has started its life as a small game and grown into a gargantuan project for the developers, who I can only praise. And they're always making this game better. Recently, they added a standard filter, so you can now only find cards in standard, or look at the cards you've just acquired that are new. And they're always there to try and make the game better, especially with new sets coming in, like Outlaws of Thunder Junction. They will also be added to the game. There is a little bit more delay between paper release and Puzzle Quest release, but when they come to Puzzle Quest, they are a little bit more simplified in the mechanics, but you still get that Magic feeling. So in 2024, if you are looking to step into the world of Magic, or if you are an experienced player who's looking for something with that Magic feeling but a little bit more fast-paced, a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more simplified, just to take your mind off it, build fun decks with fun combos on your work, on your train bus to work, or honestly, I've done it before. You need a Wii, hide in your toilet, boot up Puzzle Quest, knock out a couple of matches, your boss will never know. So in 2024, Puzzle Quest is a great game to play. For mobile games, I would rate it an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect. I do think there's a few issues with the ranking system that need fixed. Sometimes bugs go unnoticed, which kind of is a little bit irritating. But I give it the developers the benefit of the doubt, because with having over 5,000 cards in this game, it's not easy just to be able to essentially make sure all of them are working exactly how they should be with other cards. But with their fair monetization system, a non-pay-to-win feel, quicker matches in a simplified match-free mechanic, there is no reason for people not to pick up this game and play it. But I will warn you, if you are going to play Puzzle Quest 24, be warned, this card is taking over. It's scary, annoying, and I do not like it. It's one of the strongest cards in Standard, and yeah. Along with his friend Turtle. It's not a totally awesome deck. Okay, I apologize for that really bad pun. So, my final verdict is Puzzle Quest 2024 must play for all beginners and current Magic the Gathering fans. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all again next time.